Good day everyone. For this video, we are going to talk about the mean and variance of a discrete random variable. And for our objective, we have to illustrate a probability distribution for a discrete random variable and its properties, and compute probability corresponding to a given random variable. And finally, we have to solve for mean and also interpret it with our solving problems. Alright, now, so let's start with how to create a discrete probability distribution. Now, we have here the steps to follow. Step number 1, you have to list down all the random variables. Step number 2, create frequency for each random variable. And then step number 3 is to indicate the probability in each random variable. And finally, I will introduce you how to create a histogram. Alright. Suppose you can watch 3 movies a day, such as Korean or Philippine movie. We want to find out the number of Korean movies that you have watched in a day. So let K represents the K movies and find the values of a random variable. So here we have random variable 0, 1, 2, and 3. So that is our random variable that we have to list down in our discrete probability distribution. Alright. So here is our discrete probability distribution. It's composed of the random variable column, the frequency, and the probability. Alright, so let's start with random variable. So random variable, you can arrange it highest to lowest or lowest to highest, as long as it was arranged accordingly, okay, or orderly. Now, frequency is about how many times that your random variable occur in our possible outcomes. For example, here. So we have only 1 0 here. Okay. And 1 has 3 occurrence. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And for 2, we have also 3 occurrence. So we have 1, 2, 3. And 3 is also 1 occurrence. Now, so that's why we have our frequency as 1, 3, 3, 1. And do not forget your total. It should be equivalent with our possible outcomes. If we have 8 possible outcomes, your frequency should be also 8 frequency. Okay? Now, when it comes to probability, all you have to do is to make your frequency as numerator and your total as denominator. So we have 1 over 8. That's why we have 1 eighths. 3 over 8. That's why we have 3 eighths. 3 over 8. That's why we have 3 eighths. And 1 over 8, that's why we have 1 8. Now, you can represent your probability as fraction. Pwede rin naman pong decimal. Or pwede rin naman in percent form. Okay? So, those are just some illustrations of probability. Pwede fraction, decimal, or percent. Alright. So, first property of probability, the total of all probabilities are equal to 1. So, pag inad mo yung 1, 8, 3, 8, 3, 8, and 1, 8, your total should be equals to 1. Always po yan. So, lahat ng total ng probability is always 100%. Okay? So, that's probability. Second property, if you will observe the probability, each random variable, they are only between 0 and 1. So, meaning, no, second property, the probability of each random variable is only between 0 and 1. Pwede po siya mag-0, pwede rin naman siya mag-1. Pero hindi pwedeng bumaba ng 0 at hindi pwedeng tumaas ng 1. Okay? So that's two properties. Again, the first one, the total of probability is 1. The second one, the probability of each random variable is only between 0 and 1. So how about we are looking for probability of K is greater than 1. Okay? If we're looking for the probability of greater than 1, you have to check your random variables. What are the numbers that are greater than 1? We have 2 and 3. And the corresponding probability of 2 and 3 is 3 eighths and 1 eighth. Therefore, we have to add 3 eighths plus 1 eighth. That's equivalent with 4 eighths. But you have to simplify your answer. Since this is fraction, you have to make it a simplified form. Your answer should be is equals to 1/2. Next example, if we have probability of K is greater than or equal to 1. So, and the other one has or equal value. This one. Okay? If that's the case, meaning you will start to have your probability from 1, 2, and 3. So those are the value that we are going to consider in order to solve for the probability of k is greater than or equal to 1, wherein we have 3 eighths, 3 eighths, and 1 eighth. And if you're going to add these fractions, we are going to have 7 eighths. Or class po, you can illustrate your answer in decimal form. Pwede rin naman po. Okay. Now, how about in less than? If we have probability of k is less than 3. So if you're looking for the number less than 3 or random variable less than 3, we have 0, 1, and 2 only. So the values under 0, 1, and 2 is 1 8, 3 eighths, and also 3 eighths. And if you're going to total these three probabilities, we are going to have 7 eighths. Okay. Now, if we have probability of k is less than or equal to 3. Now, so in this case, kasama na po yung 3. So 3, 2, 1, and 0. So lahat na po sila. And we all know in the property that the total of the probability of all random variables is always equals to 1. Therefore, you can answer it as 1. Okay. And how about in between? Okay. So probability of random variable is between 0 and 3. So 0 is not included. So therefore, we start with 1 and 2. And as you can see with the symbol of 3, kasama siya since meron siyang or equal. Therefore, we are looking for 1, 2, and 3 in this probability. Okay, so the values of probability here is 3 eighths, 3 eighths, and 1 eighth again. Therefore, you should add that. Meron pa rin kayong 7 over 8. Okay, another. If you have 1 is less than or equal to 2, so 1 and 2 may or equal sila pareho. Therefore, may kasama ang 1 tsaka 2. So it's 3 eighths and 3 eighths. Pag tinotal natin, that's 6 eighths. Pero again, we have to simplify. So that is 3/4. Okay. Again, you can represent your answer through fractions and also decimal or possibly percent form. Okay. Now, moving on with the histogram. So, how we create a histogram? Okay. So, in order to create a histogram, all you have to do is to create an x and y axis. Okay. So, if we have our x-axis and our y-axis. Alright. So, the x-axis should have your random variable. And with the y-axis, that is the probability. Okay, now, so our random variables are 0, 1, 2, and 3. Therefore, you have to write 0, 1, 2, and 3. Alright, for the probability, we have 1 8, 3 eighths, and 3 eighths, and 1 8. Okay, if this is the whole, no, kabuuan 1, you have to divide it by 8 parts since we have 1 8, 3 eighths, 3 eighths, and 1 8. Or simply, you can convert fraction form to decimal form para medyo natatansya nyo kung hanggang saan lang. Okay, so in this example, if 0 has a probability of 1 8, so most probably ito lang yung 1 8, no? Or pag decimal is 0.125. And for 1 is 3 eighths, so ito po, 3 eighths po siya, no? So lagay natin dito is 3 eighths at tatlong beses nito. Okay, so let's say ito yung 3 eighths. And 2 has also a probability of 3 eighths. Lagay natin dito. And 3 has also 1 eighth. 1 eighth. As you can see, when it comes to histogram, yung mga bars nila magkakadikit. Ayan. So that's the difference between the bar graph and histogram. So yung histogram natin magkakadikit sila. The bar graph, hiwa-hiwalay yung graph or the bar itself. Okay, so moving on with our mean of probability mass function. Now, probability mass function is just other term for our discrete probability distribution. Baka mamaya ma-encounter nyo siya regarding with other books. Ang nakalagay lang is probability mass function that is also considered as discrete probability distribution. Okay, so same lang sila. Now, to solve for the mean of probability mass function, we have these following steps. Step step number 1 is to construct the probability distribution, which we have discussed earlier. No? And then step number 2 is to multiply the random variable by the corresponding probability. And step number 3 is to add the results obtained in step number 2. Or in short, lahat ng products is i-add nyo lang po. Okay, now, so let's have this example of solving a mean. Okay, so the probabilities that a medtech can perform a lab test on 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 patients in any day are 0.15, 0.10, 0.25, 0.30 respectively. Find the average number of patients that a medtech can perform a lab test on a day. Okay, observe the word respectively. It only tells us the arrangement of our random variables and probability. So kung paano po siya naka-arrange ang random variable, ganun din po ang arrangement ng ating probability. So 1 is 0.15, 2 is 0.10, 3 is 0.20, 4 is 0.25, and 5 is 0.30. Okay, so that's how you go with respectively. Now, so let's down all the values that we have given, no? But here you have to check if the probability, the total is 1. Kasi that's one of our property na dapat daw ang total ng ating probability ay 1. Okay. Now, second step is to multiply our random variable by probability. So 1 times 0.15 is 0.15, and 2 times 0.10 is 0.20, 3 times 0.20 is 0.60, 4 times 0.25 is 1, and 5 times 0.30 is 1.5. And then afterwards, after multiplication, we already have our products. You have to get the sum of all these products. And if you're going to take that, that is 3.45. Okay, so this is our average now, or what we call the mean. And we have here symbol, this one. Ang tawag po dyan is mu. Okay, denoting lang po na this is an average or what we call the mean. Okay, now pag ginagawa siya manually, it's like ganun, no? Parang U, tapos may isa pang tangkay doon. Kaya para siyang M pag sinulat, no? Pero but in symbols, no, medyo maganda naman siya. Alright. Now, after having your average or mean, syempre, kailangan po meron tayong description or interpretation. So, the average number of patients that a medtech can perform a lab test in a day is 3.45. So, approximately mga 4 patients a day. Now, just a reminder, when it comes to human class or person, no, medyo nag-rounded off tayo by 1. Pero yung mga values na nakuha natin, we simply put it as 3.45. But on back of our mind, it's approximately 4 persons. No? Hindi pwedeng mahati ng decimal form ng tao. Even though may putol na part sa kanila, they are still considered as one human or one person. Another example here is a big shop owner determines the number of boxes of pandesal that are delivered each day. So we have to find the mean of the probability distribution shown. If the manager stated that 35 boxes of pandesal were delivered in one day, do you think this is believable claim? So okay, so if you observe the last sentence, we have hypothesis here. No? Now, the hypothesis is 35 boxes po ba ng pandesal yung di-deliver nila sa loob ng isang araw. And to test that, we have to check our data. So in this case, hindi po naka-enumerate yung random variables and probability, but naka-table na po siya. Given na po siya as table. And all you have to do is to check again kung total ba ng probability ay 1. Okay. Now, so let's solve for the mean of this given. Again, the first step is to create discrete probability distribution. So we have the random variable, we have the probability. Now, let's take this step number 2. We have 35 times 0.10, so that's 0.35. And 36 times 0.20, that's 7.20. 37 times 0.30 is 11.10. 38 times 0.30 is 11.40. And 39 times 0.10 is 3.9. And the last step is to add all this product. We are going to have 37.10. Now, so ang hypothesis is 35 but we computed 37. So how we're going to interpret that? pwede nyo sabihin, since the mean of probability is 37.10, then it exceeds the claim of the manager of the bakery. Okay, so that's how you interpret or do when it comes to word problem, having an hypothesis or a claim. No, you can compare how we interpret the first example for mean and the second example for mean. The first example has no claim. The second example has a claim. So how we interpret a problem without a claim and with a claim. Okay, so that's how you solve for the mean of the probability and also to interpret the average of the probability. Alright, so you have to check your TBL Hub. I posted there your formative assessment so that you can answer it and try it on your own. There are some more word problems here that you can try, no? And also with our discrete probability distribution, you should try it on your own. Okay. So thank you and see you on our next meeting.